Well, hello and welcome to CDAO Magazine interview series. I'm Andy Gress, sales executive at Amend Consulting. Amend is a management consulting firm based here in Cincinnati, Ohio, working with various types of companies to support their innovation journey, both in data analytics, technology, and operations. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Jackie Guan, Senior Vice President of Global Data Analytics and Chief Data and Analytics Officer at Marriott Vacations Worldwide. Jackie, excited for the conversation today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited as well.
Obviously you've led multiple initiatives over your career in different venues. Talk to us about, some of the experiences that you've had and some of the lessons that you've learned from scaling data initiatives, especially in a global hospitality business.
Yeah, and I have to say that this is something that I reflect on very often in my career. And so as you mentioned, I went through multiple journeys and at different companies. I have to say that the answer actually constantly changes to myself as well throughout the years. And I have to say there's really two main lessons that really jump out at me right now. So number one, I can briefly talk about already that it is really critical in terms of building strong partnership as well as alignments across organization, and to make sure that you prioritize the time and effort that really is needed to do that well. And because data analytics, or to achieve the success in data analytics, is really not just a one person or one team effort. It really takes a whole village, or in this sense, like really an entire organization, entire company to really come together so that we can achieve all the potential and the success needed. And to be able to successfully scale an initiative or to make truly a lasting impact, the ability to build a strong partnership and the ability to collaborate with multiple stakeholders is really critical. And so the second lesson I would say that I would say more of a realization I came to really understand in the recent years is really there is a yin and yang aspects to this when it comes to scaling data analytic initiatives. On one hand, right, and you always want to drive for results and always want to deliver with speed, because in this space, right, so time is truly money. The quicker you can roll out solution and the quicker you can help to achieve the business value. But on the other hand, there's also another critical component that, especially if you want to make a lasting, successful change, is also important in terms of being patient and also being flexible to really accommodate the culture you're in, and also be really considerate of the people's readiness for the change, whatever change you're trying to bring at that time. So I think this really same as anything else in life, right? The key is really finding the balance and really know what is more critical at that moment, when to really rush and push really hard so we can deliver value, and why is really the good thing to do is give some time for people to really get on board with the change that you're trying to bring on. But I think no matter what, right, always need to keep your eye on the ball and always being resilient with whatever changes that you might be facing at that moment. So I would say those are two things that are really on top of my mind right now.
Those are, both great lessons. So much of what's happening now is new, right? It's new to the organizations that you're leading. And so leaning back on those experiences and those leadership principles is so crucial, because most of the folks that you're leading through these changes or these transformations, they've never done a transformation like this before. If they have, they've never done it with the technology or with AI or machine learning in the ways that it's being applied today, with the speed at which innovation is happening. So those leadership principles are so crucial. I'm excited to talk more about team and culture here in a couple minutes. You mentioned something earlier I want to circle back to. You were talking about some of the initiatives that you've launched in your time at MVW since you started. One of them that you mentioned is that you recently transitioned to a new BI platform. Talk to us about that experience. What were some of the maybe challenges or takeaways of launching that platform, and how did it go?
So we absolutely did. And so I think the most challenging part is the part that we kind of previously discussed, is really that we need to make sure we build strong alignments across the organization and make sure that we bring everybody along for the journey. So when I started with this organization, and we had four main BI tools, and also that's really utilized by multiple teams. But we also have two other BI tools that used by just one or two teams, a lot smaller adoption. But as you can imagine, right? So there's 6 different tools, and there are licensing costs, there's maintenance costs, there's duplication of efforts or duplication of reports, and it's just a lot of waste and that come with all those, right? And on top of that, 2 of those 6 tools are really I would call legacy tools. And so with all those legacy tools, they don't really have the latest AI capabilities or the great visualization and some newer functionality that really can be leveraged to enable better insight generation, right? So it was almost very clear from the beginning that we really should centralize. We should try to centralize on a single BI platform so that we can also retire all those like older, outdated technology. So then we really try to start doing this through a very comprehensive evaluation process. And we research on different pros and cons of different BI tools. And we absolutely leverage different industry research, such as Gartner's Magic Quadrant of our Research Wave report. We also talk to a lot of BI experts in the field, but also try to balance out our own personal experience and perspective with all of the tools to really do a very qualitative assessment. And then we also did a quantitative comparison in terms of speed that we can measure, performance we can measure, as well as functionalities that we think is important to our needs. So as well as at the very last stage is we did a financial comparison with some negotiations with all those vendors. And then when we put all those things together, right, it become a pretty clear choice that one to definitely offer the really made the most sense for us to move forward with in terms of total overall cost of ownership. And as you can imagine, right, so there's so many different users or so many different developers with all those BI tools. And it really touches our entire organization. So we're very consciously to make sure that we reach out to every single one of them from the very beginning. And we always try to clearly communicate the reason and the why we're trying to do this from the beginning, and so that everybody is fully aligned on the objective, which wasn't too hard to do. And so we then make sure that we invite all the business stakeholders, all the users of the tools to all the demos, and so we can also get their perspective and listen to their opinions throughout the whole process. And we were very transparent with all of them in terms of our findings, in terms of our research, in terms of our quantitative and qualitative comparisons as well. So when this is all said and done, right? When all the comparisons were done, it was very clear to everyone why the tool we selected was a clear choice for us. After the choice was made, I think then the real hard work started with the transition itself. So as you can imagine, migrating all those legacy reports to a new tool is a lot of work, because literally we had thousands of reports that had to be redeveloped in the new tool. So it really took a lot of time, a lot of effort by many different teams. And it's also a huge change management process, because all those reports actually was quite integrated with all those different business process all the user utilize in terms of their day-to-day operations. And so it's really come to a full circle with I shared from the beginning. The key lessons are the most important thing to me through this is really building that strong partnership, building the alignment with all the stakeholders through a really careful but really well thought out change management and communication process.
Yeah, the change management, we've mentioned it several times, but that change management piece is so important. I mean, it varies a bit by initiative, but I would say probably 75% of the work that we're doing in the data science or even reporting, BI space comes back to change management. It's informing the people, it's bringing the people along. That oftentimes actually the technology is the easy part. It's bringing the people along with you is where it really is challenging. And I'm sure so many of the listeners are thinking about how do we get better reporting, how do we get reporting in the hands of our people. We could probably have an entire conversation just around reporting or self-service data, things like that. But one of the other topics I know a lot of people are thinking about right now is AI and machine learning. And a lot of these principles and concepts have been around for a long time. Machine learning or data science and RPA, things like that. A lot, especially big codes, have been leveraging those types of tools or applications for decades, really, for years and years and years.
Yeah.
But recently, in the last several years, we've obviously seen an acceleration of interest and proliferation throughout organizations of how those tools are being utilized. Talk to us a little bit about how you're doing that at MVW. So what are maybe some of the current AI or ML initiatives that you're working on and that you see delivering value to the business? And I know we can't get into maybe too many details, but just on a high level, how are you looking at those initiatives and what are you guys focused on?
Yes, absolutely. And so of our current ML and AI initiatives and in terms of driving business value, that really fall into two general categories. Category one is really utilizing those models to drive efficiencies and help to reduce costs in operation. And the second category is really to increase sales and the revenue. And I can give some high-level examples in the driving efficiencies area, right? And I think you mentioned some of those already. And sometimes we call those traditional AI. And in fact, we've been leveraging VVA as well as RPA for several years. And we use those technologies and really approaches to really help us to achieve or generate significant savings through automation and through elimination of manual process. And we also were able to save a lot of time, especially for our associates, especially in the call center through those technology. And in the second category of helping to increase sales and increase revenue, and it's really through different initiatives. And we basically have leveraged multiple machine learning and AI models to really do better personalization for our owners and the customer to really help them improve their experience, as well as utilize better propensity models to really improve our sales results. And some additional other example in this field is also including leverage machine learning models to really provide better, more accurate supply, as well as demand forecasting and inventory optimization. And so there's also some really exciting new things and in terms of the newer Gen AI space as well. So currently we're doing several Gen AI POCs to really explore ways that we can really utilize the newer technology to enable our associates to service our guests and our customer much better. And we, in fact, are getting ready to start on the production development of those two use cases that really came out from all those Gen AI related POCs. And we're super excited about them.
That's really exciting. Yeah. And for those listening, POCs, it's proof of concept. And so it's how do we test it before we launch into full deployment? And that's exciting, seeing the different ways that you can apply AI and ML for efficiencies or for growth and value creation, both really exciting initiatives and frontiers to take on. So much of this, like I said, is new and it's innovation. And so finding ways to better connect with your customers and try different ways to better engage with them and to engage with your team and bring them along on these initiatives. It's really the whole point, right? It's the whole reason is to better engage with the people on the other side. Jackie, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining me today. For more interviews and insights, please visit cdomagazine.tech. Thank you.
Thank you.